All my dear students of class 8, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In biology, I was teaching nervous system. Let's continue with it today. In my last lecture, I had told you about the peripheral nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. So, I told you all the nerves that the body consists of constitute the peripheral nervous system, and these nerves connect the central nervous system. That is, which part? You can see this is the central nervous system consisting of the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system contains all the nerves which are connected to the brain and the spinal cord. Is that clear? So the peripheral nervous system consists of two types of nerves, that is the spinal nerves and cranial nerves. And cranial nerves, I told you, arise from the brain, and they are spread in the head region, as you can see in the picture, that there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves, and you can number them. They are from number 1 to 12. So the first pair is olfactory, that is, they are the nerves which carry the message to the nose. Is that clear? And they are for smelling. And the second pair of cranial nerves are the optic nerves to the eyes, and they are for vision. Followed by the seventh, they are more, but the third, fourth, fifth, that is the third one is oculomotor, then trochlear, trigeminal, abducens. The seventh one is the facial nerve to supply the muscles of the face and tongue for taste. Then the eighth pair of cranial nerves are the auditory nerves, which are responsible for the hearing. Is it clear? So these are the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Now this is the table telling you about the other nerves as well. Oculomotor, that is they serve the muscle of the eye, then trochlear serve the superior oblique eye muscles, and so on. Is that clear? So the details of other nerves are not there in your course, so I am not telling you. Then followed by the next type of nerves, that is the spinal nerve. So these nerves arise from the spinal cord, you can see on both the sides, and there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Is that clear? And a typical spinal nerve is basically a mixed nerve, that is having both the sensory part and the motor part. That is, the sensory nerve carry message from the sense organ, that is ears, eyes, nose, tongue, etc. to the brain or spinal cord, and the motor nerve bring message from the brain or spinal cord to the glands or to the muscles. Then the autonomic nervous system is what? Then the autonomic nervous system, it consists of what? It consists of pairs of chains of ganglia. Ganglia are what? That is, a ganglion is a mass of nerve cells. Many nerve cells together make a ganglion, and they appear in the form of a swelling like this. You can see over here different types, like this, like the nerve is going like this and then the swell up. This is a mass of nerve. This is the ganglion. Is that clear? So they lie close to either side of the spinal cord, and they regulate and coordinate vital involuntary activities. Is that clear? Which vital? Very important involuntary activities like digestion, respiration, heartbeat, and dilatation of the pupil, saliva flow. All these are regulated by the autonomic nervous system, and this autonomic nervous system consists of the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, and they are antagonistic in effect, that is, they work opposite to each other. For example, you can say sympathetic nervous system inhibits or stops stop something from happening, inhibit the secretion of gastric juice in the alimentary canal. Is that clear? And this parasympathetic does what? It acts in opposition to that. That is nervous system. Its parasympathetic nervous system stimulates, that is, it allows that particular thing to happen. So it stimulates the secretion of gastric juice in the alimentary canal. Similarly, sympathetic nervous system, if dilatation of the pupil is taking place, then it constricts the pupil. Dilate means to increase in size. Is that clear? So it is acting antagonistically opposite to each other. That is, it operates two systems, that is sympathetic system and parasympathetic system. Now let's start with the voluntary and involuntary actions today. So I have already discussed about these actions, that is the voluntary actions are actions which are under our control, that is we do them consciously. We know that we are going to do a particular thing, we are going to stand up or we are going to sit down or we are going to write a pen or dance or sing or play a particular game. We know this, it is under our control, we do it consciously. So these are under our conscious control. Is that clear? Our brain knows it, our body knows about it. Is that clear? So these are the actions performed consciously, and the involuntary actions, we don't even know how are they being performed and when are they being performed. They are performed unconsciously. They are called as involuntary action, like the beating of the heart, or you can see breathing. All these are involuntary. Then apart from these involuntary action, there are immediate, like for example, something appears to be approaching, you suddenly close your eye, isn't it? Or something enters your eyes, start watering. So these involuntary actions are called reflex action or reflexes. So we will discuss here in detail that if suppose we touch something hot, how does a hand behave, that is how does it withdraw it suddenly, what is the reason behind it. So these are involuntary action, and we have not learned them, we have not acquired through experience, but we know, our body knows when to react to it. Is that clear? They are automatic, very automatic responses. Is that clear? So these automatic responses or involuntary actions are known as reflex actions, or they are known as reflexes. Is it clear? They are known as reflexes or reflex action. Is it clear? So what is a reflex action? It is a quick, we don't know even when a body has suddenly we have touched it, or a body a hand has been withdrawn, or our foot steps on something something pointed, then how does it withdraw? How do we withdraw our foot suddenly? So a quick and automatic response to a stimulus. What do you mean by a stimulus? We have already discussed it, isn't it? What is a stimulus? Yes, it is a detectable change in the surrounding environment. You can detect it, your body can make out that there has been a change, in temperature which your body cannot bear. For instance, when you are touching a hot object, or when something pointed touches your finger, then your body knows how to respond to it, that something pointed has touched it. You detect that, but you can easily identify that there is some change in the surrounding environment. So that is the stimulus. Is that clear? A quick and automatic response to a stimulus, and this is controlled by the spinal cord. Is that clear? This is in the control of the spinal cord, and it is a quick automatic response. So this is known as the reflex action, and there is no involvement of the brain in this particular action. Then there is a path which is followed by the nerve impulse in a reflex action, and this path is known as the reflex arc. Is that clear? It is known as the reflex arc. Now this path is basically an involuntary, it is a response to a sensory stimulus, a detectable change which your senses, in this case when you are touching a hot object, or when you are getting pricked by a pointed object, your sense organ, that is your skin, can sense it through touch. Is that clear? And it is an involuntary response that you are doing it unconsciously, and this pathway of nerves which are involved, or neurons which are involved in a reflex, is known as a reflex arc. Is that clear? So moving hand away when you touch a hot object is an example of reflex action. Is that clear? So how is it happening? That is, heat stimulus is received by the sensory receptors in your skin. Is that clear? and this is received from the sensory receptor in your. I had told you all the sense organ consist of special type of cells which are known as receptors, isn't it? So stimulus is received by the sensory receptors, that is the receptors which are present in your sense organs, that is ears, eyes, nose, tongue, skin. Is that clear? These are special cells. They are present in all the sense organs of your body. So now what happens is, after once these receptors receive it, then the nerve impulse is generated. A nerve impulse means what? You have already done it. What do you mean by impulse? You have to be very well versed with these terms. How does a signal or a message travel from one neuron to another? It travels in the form of an electrical signal, and it carries this electrical signal travels along the whole length of the nerve. Is that clear? So this impulse is generated and it travels through sensory neurons. What are sensory neurons? We keep on recapitulating whatever you have done in the earlier lectures of this chapter. What are sensory neurons or sensory nerves? That is, these nerves carry message from the, as the word sensory means, they are carrying message from the sense organ to the brain or the spinal cord. So here it is the spinal cord. So these sensory neurons are carrying from the sense organs to the spinal cord. Is it clear? So this signal or the nerve impulse is carried, and this nerve impulse arises where? It arrives in the grey matter of the spinal cord. Is that clear? Grey matter and white matter you have done? Yes or no? So this grey matter is made up of cell bodies of the neuron. Is that clear? Which are bringing the nerve impulse. So this arrives in the grey matter of the spinal cord, and the relay neurons transmit impulses from the sensory neuron to the motor neuron. So relay means something which is bringing something in. You run a relay race, you have the whole house team with you. When one player or one teammate arrives after running, then the other one touches his or her hand, and then the second one runs, and then when the second one comes, then the third one runs. So similarly a relay is there. Now we call it a relay race. Similarly, the relay neurons are transmitting these impulses from the sensory neurons to the motor neurons. Is that clear? Once the nerve impulse has been carried from the sensory neuron, it will pass on to the motor neurons. So motor neurons do what? They transmit the nerve impulse from where to where? From the brain or spinal. In this case, it is the spinal cord to the muscle or gland. Is that clear? So relay neurons transmit this impulse from the sensory neuron to the motor neuron, and finally what happens, that the nerve impulse reaches the muscles or arms through the motor neuron. So effector are what? Effector muscles, that is the muscles of your hand, that you can easily quickly withdraw your hand. So an organ that produces a suitable response on receiving, in this case it is withdrawing itself, and when it receives the which impulse? Heat impulse from the spinal cord, from the message that there is something which is going to harm you. So the muscles contract and the hand is moved away. Is it clear? So this is how the reflex action takes place. Now reflexes are of two types. They are of two types, that is natural reflexes, and the second that we will do just now is the conditioned reflexes. The second type is the conditioned reflexes. Is it clear? So first we will study about the conditioned reflexes, or natural reflexes, or inborn reflexes, or even they are known as unconditioned reflexes. They are unconditioned reflexes. Is that clear? So these reflexes, they do not need any previous learning. We have not gained any previous experience. So we have not been taught or we have not learned them through any experience. They are inborn, that is, they are there since birth, since we have been born. We have not been taught how to sneeze and how to cough, isn't it? We have not been taught how to vomit or how to swallow the food or the peristalsis. Is that clear? So these are all examples of reflexes which are natural or inborn reflexes or unconditioned reflexes, which we have inherited since birth. Is that clear? That is why they are called as natural reflexes. Now these are examples of natural reflexes, that is coughing, and even sneezing is an example of natural reflex. Then same with salivation or swallowing of food. So in this picture you can see the food has been swallowed, and through the process of peristalsis, that is the rapid wave of contraction and relaxation, the food is pushed on further into the stomach and then into the small intestine and large intestine. This is all through natural reflex. Is that clear? There is such other such examples also. Then step on a nail or any pointed object, your foot is withdrawn, or you suddenly withdraw away from that object. So these are all examples of natural reflex. Is that clear? Then blinking of eyes is also a natural reflex. Next is conditioned or acquired reflexes. The name itself suggests that, or the term itself suggests that the conditions are acquired, that we have acquired, we have learned them through training. Is that clear? Or through experience, isn't it? So example are watering of the mouth, that is the production of saliva or salivation takes place when we smell something tasty, or typing on the keyboard is also a conditioned reflex, that you learn it and then only you are able to do it, and then you can do it unconsciously also. Then dancing, singing, swimming, playing a musical instrument, all these are examples of conditioned reflexes that you have acquired or you have learned them through experience. So salivation, we can call it a natural and conditioned reflex both. Is that clear? So how can we call it a natural and conditioned reflex? Now this salivation is both a natural and conditioned reflex, because when we chew or eat any food, then salivation occurs. There is production of saliva, there is formation of saliva, and our food gets mixed up with this. This is a natural reflex, isn't it? It's a natural reflex. So it is a natural reflex because when we chew or eat anything, the saliva is produced, and so this is a natural reflex. However, at times when we smell a particular food which we like, our brain knows it, isn't it? So our body knows it, and salivation occurs at the sight or smell of food that we are familiar with as the response to that particular food. Is that clear? So the brain remembers the smell and taste from a previous experience. Just because you have previously tasted that food, you smell that food, you know, your body or your brain knows it. So this action or this particular reflex happens involuntarily. So this is a conditioned reflex. Is it clear? So conditioned reflex were first shown by a Russian zoologist, was known as Pavlov, and he saw these in dogs. So what did he do was that he noticed that dogs do not secrete saliva on the ringing of the bell. They do not secrete saliva. There was no response. This is preconditioning. Exactly, he then started providing food to a dog at a particular time by ringing the bell. Then after repeating this several times, he observed that the dog started salivating even just on ringing the bell, although food was not there. Exactly, so you can see this is preconditioning, where there was no salivation, there was no response, but here the conditioned stimulus was given, that the bell was rung but there was salivation, just because the dog had the brain of the dog knew that the bell is the sound heard, or it is rung when food is provided to him. Exactly, so here you can see that he had learned this all comes in preconditioning. Then conditioning, when the bell was rang, food was provided to him. This is, and the salivation occurred. So these are all the example of conditioned reflexes. Is that clear? So we all should know that all reflexes are involuntary. They are not under our control. They are spontaneous. They are automatic. But all involuntary actions are not considered to be reflexes. Is that clear? Involuntary actions means you can say other involuntary actions are of the body, breathing. Then you have digestion. Is that clear? They are not considered reflexes because some of the voluntary action, by consciously repeating them with specific stimulus, they become involuntary. Is that clear? For example, if we learn how to type on a computer, we know about the keyboard, then unconsciously also we will type the right, we will click the right button. And similarly, the games that you play, and consciously you are playing the games, but you know this is although they are voluntary action, but they become involuntary once you are consciously repeating them with specific stimulus. Is that clear? So this completes the chapter. Please revise it properly. Let's move on to the exercise on page number 87. So take the correct option. Actions that are performed consciously, that we perform consciously, are called as, yes, voluntary actions. Is it clear? Then actions that we perform unconsciously are called as, yes, involuntary actions. Is it clear? Then page number 88, that is, which of the following is not an example of voluntary action? Kicking a football, eating an apple, beating of the heart, and writing with a pen. This is an involuntary activity. A quick and automatic response to a stimulus controlled by the spinal cord is called as, yes, a quick and automatic response to a stimulus controlled by the spinal cord is called, yes, it is called a reflex action. Which of the following neurons are involved in a reflex action? Sensory neuron, relay neuron, motor neuron, or all of these? Yes, of course, all of these. Then which of the following is not a type of reflex? Natural, artificial, conditioned, or acquired? It is artificial. Is that clear? Then match the following. Please try to do this on your own, matching the inborn reflexes and acquired reflexes. Is it clear? Revise the whole chapter. Allah Hafiz.